everyone. Today we're going to look at one particular uptrending stock, in particular Apple, listed in Nasdaq, and we're going to see how to maximize profit in this uptrending stock. In particular, I'm going to explain how to identify the best entry point by looking, or by rather understanding, the angle of attack in retracement, because usually when we tend to buy at a higher price, then the margin of safety is actually getting weaker. So it's better for us to wait for a while for the retracement, and once it retraces, then we enter, and then probably we can get a better profit. So if you think that this particular stock is going to be in an uptrend for some time, so it's best to do a bit of estimation of when is it going to retrace, how much is going to retrace, and how you can actually enter at which point. So without wasting time, let's continue. Okay, this is the Apple chart. So we are actually studying a very long pattern, so which is dating back from 2009 all the way until today. So if you look at this particular Apple stock, it has been on an uptrend for a very, very long time. And how we can say that it's an uptrend? We can see that the high point. So you can look at the mouse pointer I'm pointing to right now. So this is a high, and then the next high is actually higher than the previous high. Similarly, the following one is also higher, and then the other one is also higher. And the lower points is also getting higher. So this is the low point, and the next low point is also getting higher, and subsequently in that manner. So that actually defines that this particular stock is in an uptrend. So this technique I'm going to explain is suitable to be used in an uptrend or in a downtrend, but it's not suitable to be used in a sideway. So what we're going to study now is actually, if you know that this particular stock is, or rather we can actually estimate, usually tech stocks are very good or very popular. Tech stocks are usually, they trend for a very long time, and we can actually try to look at when it tries to retrace, we can try to see when is the right time for us to enter. I mean, when it starts to retrace, we can start to measure how far it's going to retrace, and is it going to retrace more or less comparative to the previous one, and then at what low price should I get in. So that's what I'm going to explain, how to buy cheaper and then probably sell at a higher price. So we're going to use angle of attack in this case. So we have to pick this particular trend angle. So if you see that this particular stock has been uptrending, so from the high that we have here, so that's the high. So I'm going to draw an angle downward. So this is. So the angle of attack, or rather the retracement, is at about 60 degrees. Okay, so you can actually jot it down. So that's like 60 degrees. So, and then the next thing I'm going to look at is actually how far, or what is the height. I'm also going to study the height. There's a tool called info line here. You can use that. Also pick on the same dot and then up to the down here. Okay, roughly it went down like $12, $12.16. So you can jot that down also. Okay, 12.16. Okay, so these are the details that we need to gather for each of the retracement. Okay, then I can remove this particular. Okay, so the angle I'm going to leave it there because I will need it, because I need to do a comparison with the next retracement. Okay, the next retracement we have here is around this area. So I'm gonna again take my angle. So I'm gonna compare the previous retracement with the current retracement. Okay, so I'm gonna take the high, which is somewhere here, and then I'm gonna go to the low. Okay, so let me do it again. So it's a bit tricky to identify the high and the low, so I may roughly go for this. So that's the retracement we have. So it retraces. Oops. So it retraces like 31 degree. Okay, so it retraces about 31 degree. Now, okay, actually for this second retracement, right? So we only need 1/3. So we only need 1/3 of the actual. So this is the first retracement. So from the first retracement, I only need roughly like slightly more than 1/3. I don't really need the full retracement. I don't really need to extend it to the far end, because the moment it starts to retrace like 1/3, right? 1/3 of the previous retracement. By that time I can already measure the angle. So you can see that the angle here, the angle of attack here is roughly like 47, no? Like 47. Okay, there is one extreme case here which goes all the way to 67, but actually if you just look at 1/3 of it, roughly we can figure out it's like around 47, 15, 49, like that, even though the actual retracement is like about I would say is maybe around 28, 29. That's the actual figure. This is the 28, 29 is actual figure. But at 1/3 of it, it's like slightly around 47, 48, like that. Now, we just use that 1/3 because we're going to estimate. We're going to estimate how far the retracement is going to be for the second retracement. So we compare with the first one. The first one retraced is 60%. The first one retraced about 60%. The second one retraced about 1/3 of it is like 47. It's actually, so if you overlap it, try to bring it over and try to overlap it, we can see that the second retracement is much flatter compared to the first one. Because it's much flatter, the theory says that if you compare with the first retracement, if the second retracement is much flatter, then the retracement is not going to go very low, as it's going to be shorter than the previous retracement. In other words, it's not going to go very low, it's going to be shorter than the previous retracement. So previous retracement, we saw that it's actually retracing like $12, right? So the current retracement, or rather the second retracement, according to the theory, because of the flatter retracement, flatter degree of attack in the retracement, therefore the height of the retracement will be shorter than the first one. So how short is it going to be? That's the next question. So if we overlap, we saw that this is the point where the relative first retracement, where is it? So where is the first retracement relatively? So our second retracement is going to be somewhere above that, because the height is going to be lower than the first one. So therefore, we have to identify some resistance points. So always if you know a bit of technical analysis, there is support, there is resistance. Support is where the price will be prevented from going further low. Somewhat, there will be buyers coming in to buy, so therefore the share will tend not to go further down there. So that's a support point. Resistance points are those points where the seller will come in and try to sell to prevent it from going higher. So we have the support and the resistance points, right? So if you are aware of this share trading and all that, so you will know the support and resistance. So what we will do is we will try to find resistance points. So if you look here, this is the kind of support that we have. Okay, this my pointer, this kind of support that we have. There's a lot of there's some candlesticks there, which actually kind of build a strong support points. When the price is going up, when it's fall down, so there's a lot of buyer waiting at the support area here. So this is a support area that's established earlier. So when this price is going up, let's say it's going to come down, right? If it comes down at the support area, there are a lot of buyers waiting. So it might not go further lower than that if the sell down is not so terrible. Okay. On the same point, if you look at this, there's a very light resistance points here in this mouse pointer I'm pointing. So it is stabilizing, and some sellers are trying to sell. Therefore, it's kind of preventing it from going further up. But then there were more buyers than sellers. That's why the price went up. But actually, here what we are saying is because the degree of attack is lesser compared to the first retracement, therefore when it retraces, when the second retracement retraces, is going to be lower than the previous height. So it typically is going to the first stop point is at the resistance of the that we see above this particular the overlap that I have done here. Okay, so this is the overlap we have. So above this overlap, it might look a bit confusing to you. Yes, so this is the first one. So an overlap here. So that's the height we have here. It won't go any further down from there. It's going to be somewhere above there. Okay, so because it's going to be somewhere above there, now the right point we can look at is at this resistance point. So I'm going to draw a line there. So there's a resistance coming around this area. So that's a resistance area. So we're going to stop somewhere around there. So in fact, the retracement did stop somewhere around there. Okay. So that's what, so the best buying point is here. So instead of you buying at this high, there's opportunity for you to buy at lower price so that you can take more profit when it goes up. So if you don't understand yet, it's fine. So maybe I'll try to explain better. Okay. So now let's try to measure what was the actual retracement height. Okay, let's try to measure the actual retracement height. Okay, so I'm going to take the high from there and to the low here. The actual retracement is only about 29, so it's not 31. The one third of it was 31, but finally it ended up only as 29. Okay, so that is 29 degrees. But the height of it was, so if you try to measure the height of it, it's roughly around $13. Okay, the height of it was roughly around $13. So we can jot it down like $13. Okay, so this is for the second retracement. We're going to continue to apply this technique. We can remove the first retracement detail, or we can leave it there, no problem. Okay, now when it goes up, then it turns back, right? So the moment it starts to do retracement, and the moment we already got like 1/3 of the previous. So this one is the previous one, right? So 1/3 of the length, or rather the height of the length, I would say, or height, whichever you can call it. 1/3 of the previous retracement. That's basically what we're saying. So as long as he has got 1/3 of the previous retracement, somewhere around here. So maybe I'll take this. Okay, somewhere around this. It's like 47. You can see that 1/3 of it is like 47. I'm not measuring the full, assuming that I don't know what's the full retracement yet. It's like at 1/3 of the previous retracement, the angle of attack sounds like 47, right? And you know, 47 comparative to the previous 29 degree, it's much more sharper, right? So the retracement is much more stronger this time. There's a panic sell. We can see that from the chart here. a lot of buyers, a lot of sales and strong sales happening there. So when it is actually strong sell like this at the degree of 47, and therefore if you overlap it, right, so if I'm trying to overlap it, you see that the second retracement, okay, I'll try to make it thicker. So the thicker line is the the third retracement. In other words, the third retracement is actually below the second retracement. So because the degree of attack of the third retracement is far wider, or rather more sharp compared to the second one. So according to the theory, if you have a sharper attack, angle of attack, then the price will go even lower than the previous retracement. So we saw that previous retracement, it went down by $13, right? The next one, the third retracement, because the degree of attack is even sharper, therefore the theory says that it's going to be even stronger than the previous one. Okay, so we can try to measure. Okay, so this is I'm going to draw here. So when we overlap, right, when we overlap, that's the target. So that's the target. So it's going to be, because of the degree of attack is more sharper, therefore the drop in the price is going to be even stronger than the previous drop. Previous drop was 13. Now it's going to be even more than that. Actually, it's not that more in the actual observation we see. We only see slightly a bit more than what was the target. So in fact, we are saying that it's supposed to be more. So if, let's say, we try to measure, right, and if we try to measure it, so okay, let me try to remove this away back to here. Okay, actually you have to be aware of the height as well here. So this is the height, no? So I actually didn't draw correctly. So this is the actual height of it, of the previous retracement. So if you bring it over to here, right, and then you try to draw a line, trend line. Okay, so you see that the actual fall is even lower than that. That's what's supposed to be, because the angle of attack of the current retracement, degree of attack is actually is like around 61%, which is more than 29% that we observed earlier, right? So 61%, and you see that the fall that we experience here is actually supposed to be even larger. So let's try to measure the fall. Okay, that's the fall. So it went down by degree of attack is 57, and then according to the current my current drawing measurement, maybe it's not so accurate. Let me try again. Okay, yeah, around 63% degree of attack, and then it fall down by $22. Okay, so we can jot it down here. The degree of attack is 63, and then it fall by 22.45. So that's a fall, that's the degree of attack. So comparative to previous one, degree of attack was 29. This is a sharper attack, so you see the fall is even more. So how do we estimate how far is it going to fall? This time, just now we look at resistance, right? Because the angle of attack comparative to this earlier one, which is 60, right, was flatter, right? When it is flatter, we look at the resistance, nearest resistance. But for this case, because the degree of attack was even more, that means it's a sharper drop, we have to look at the comparative to the earlier retracement. The third retracement is actually more. The retracement degree of attack is more. So therefore, we will look at the support line after that's a key thing. After, you have to overlap the previous retracement over here. Okay, after this line that I have drawn here, trend line here, is going to go to the support line after. Okay, this is okay. That's a line. So you see, we have. I'm going to draw another line. Okay, so we have two lines here, right? You see that two lines. The first one on top is actually what we call the resistance line. The second line down there is what we call the support line. Support line is where more buyers are waiting. Resistance line was actually where the sellers were waiting before it managed to win over all the sellers. The buyers win over the sellers, then it shoot up, right? But then the support for that uptrend was actually in this line, the second line. You can see that sharply, just at the dot, it touched the support. So the target for retracement when it is actually sharper than previous retracement is at the support line. If it is actually a flatter retracement, then the target is actually the resistance. Resistance below the reference line. So this is our reference line. Okay, you have to plot your, or rather overlap. You have to overlap the previous retracement over the third retracement, and the previous retracement will become the reference line. Okay, is it above the, so for example in this case, this is my second retracement. So when I draw a trend line at the height, okay, this is the height, right? Okay, and that's the height. Okay, so because the current degree of attack is stronger, so we will look at below the reference line. If the degree of attack is lesser, then we look at above the reference line. Okay, we'll do another example for you, another study. Okay, so I'll just retain the angle there. Okay, it's not 63 anymore, so it's like around, it depends on your drawing skill actually. Well, it's around 63, 64 is fine. Okay, so you have to observe a significant retracement. So this method is suitable if the retracement is significant. Well, if I compare the fourth retracement here compared to the third, second and first retracement, the fourth retracement is not that significant. I mean, it is, I don't see, it's only 2 bars, see, comparative to other retracements, which actually I can see more bars, so it's more significant, but this fourth retracement is not that significant. And you will try to apply, but this study is more effective, and the degree, or rather the retracement is significant. So I'll try to take the retracement. So the moment you have 1/3 of the previous height, so you see that at the 1/3 of the previous height, somewhere roughly you can figure out to be somewhat like this. It's like 72 degree and all that. Comparative to 63 degree that we saw earlier, 74 is even sharper drop. So what we can estimate is this particular fourth retracement is even going to be, the height of it is going to be even lower than the previous one. So let's now try to, so now we'll try to, this is the actually we get 84, but at 1/3 we get around 70, 71, which is sufficient to tell us is actually sharper than previous one. But let's go, okay, maybe I'll just remove it. I'll take the info line. So according to this info line, yes, finally it retraced about 81%, and it fell down by $27, which is actually more than the previous one. Previous is 22. So now with this, by studying the degree of attack, right, I can know that whether the price is going to be falling more or lesser comparative to the previous retracement, by just comparing the previous degree of attack and the current degree of attack. If comparative to previous degree of attack it's more, the degree of attack is more, that means it was sharper drop. then we can say that the price is going to be going even lower than previous one. If the degree of attack of current is lesser or flatter compared to the previous one, then I will say that the height or the retracement is going to be slightly lower than the previous one. So how do we identify the spot of where exactly it's going to retrace to the turning point? That one, it could be either at the support point or at the resistance point. So for example, what we saw just now, just to recap everything, when our retracement is flatter compared to the previous retracement, then we should actually refer to the nearest resistance. Have to find the nearest resistance from the previous height. Then if the current retracement is actually more than the previous retracement in terms of degree of attack, then my retracement is going to be lower compared to the previous retracement height. So I'm going to look at the support that is available, nearest support available after the reference height. Okay, so that's what I'm going to, that's basically the idea. So if you could not get the idea right, you might need to watch my another video where I explain the theory. So because this video is talking more about application, so I had a video about theory of it, so you might need to watch that so that you will find this more easier to understand. Okay, so let's come back to this last fourth retracement. Because the degree of attack is more than the previous was 63, now it's like 81 and the final degree of attack. And we said that because it's more, the degree of attack more, that means the sharper attack, so that means the fall is going to be greater than the previous. Yes, 27 versus 22. In fact, yes, it is more. And another thing is, how do we identify the turning point after the retracement? Is usually because the degree of attack here is sharper compared to previous, so we need to look at the support. So immediate support, so immediate support, it's around this line. Yes, that's the immediate support. You see that exactly it fell to that. So this red line immediately exactly touched that one. So that's where, if you know this particular knowledge, you can buy at that point. That's the cheapest you can get. So you can buy at that point when it touches the support. Immediately you can gain a lot more profit when it starts to go up. Okay. So I hope you have gained some knowledge from what I've said in this video. I'll try to make another video explaining the downtrend perhaps. So keep watching my channel. So please subscribe, and also please like the video so that it gets to you automatically whenever I post it. Okay.